Rhaegar here for another video. Today's video is a RPG a day video, and today's is the 9th video on the 9th of August by chance. And today's topic is media that you wish was an RPG. I think that's how the question is phrased, which is basically asking the question, what universe do you want your RPG to be based in? What world do you want to step into and walk around and, you know, chew on the scenery and have a play about? Now, this question was quite an odd one for me because at first I knew exactly the answer. As soon as I thought about yes, gut reaction, got it. But then doubt started to creep in, and what about this? What about that? And it spiraled out of control for a while. I started looking into other RPG, other things and saying, well, maybe what about this? What about this? So I decided to give you a couple of answers. My gut reaction, because that's obviously the answer I should go with, but I'm going to give you a few others to consider. Because the first one I thought of, I felt like almost I was cheating, because it's based off a computer RPG, which is already technically a role-playing game of sorts, but not a tabletop. Which I felt, it's kind of already in that sort of frame, but not quite in the boundlessness of an RPG tabletop. So I thought I'd take one from a game, like that, an RPG game, one from another video game which I really think would be interesting, and another from a TV series. And let's start with my gut reaction. My gut reaction was the Mass Effect universe developed by BioWare, the game studio. It's a sci-fi setting, and it is wonderful. It's goes perfectly between the sort of Star Wars, ancient past, far future, sci-fi, fantasy. Plenty of alien races, plenty of technology. Technology's commonplace. That sort of thing, between the Star Trek, where humanity is exploring the stars and developing technologies, and how they interact with other civilizations. This Massive universe is right between that. It's like there's quite a lot of technology. Humanity's out in the stars, but it's quite far away from Earth now, developing with other galaxies and other cultures and races. And some of the races and rich tapestry of history that come to Mass Effect universe is so beautiful that it makes a really interesting place to look around in. Like, for example, even, sorry, I'm a little tired, the Quarians, a race that had to abandon their home world and become a migrant, nomadic space race because the AI they developed became too sentient and decided they wanted independence, and the Quarians didn't like this. So civil war erupted and they were basically forced off their home world. Cool concept. The idea of this, a spacefaring race that has to stay in space and is now adapted to spacefaring, that they can't actually come out of their sort of spacesuits because their immune systems have basically become crap because they don't have a planet to walk around on anymore. Great. Things like the Krogan, a very clan-like aggressive race, very breeds almost like a rat. They breed very virulently. They thrive in harsh environments, basically. I'm sure that virulently is the right word. But they've been exposed to a kind of genetic manipulation which is basically killing their race, making them a very kind of reckless and angsty and kind of really fatalistic race. Beautiful, love it. Humans themselves, great. Greatly portrayed, both the good and the bad. Love Mass Effect. I'd love to play a role-playing game based in a tabletop. I think there's a lot of potential there. If BioWare ever releases one, I'll be all over it. So, the other game-based one is not an RPG, it's a strategy game actually. Some of you may have heard of it. It's called XCOM. The remake I'm referring to, not the original from the 90s, which is basically it's an organisation which is a joint effort between all the countries around the world that decide to fund it to combat an alien invasion which is trying to creep in and take over on the sly, and you're sort of going undercover doing these spec op missions. It's a strategy game, but I think that's a beautiful premise for an RPG. If you just expand it out a little bit, yeah, the whole political side of things, dealing with other countries and meeting their demands to get the funding, and the kind of building a group that can combat the alien threat when the aliens are generally much more better armed than your team will ever be. And how the research and development process, how you develop over time and steal their technology research and that sort of stuff, and go to different locales, countries. It's got a lot of potential. I love it. Brilliant idea. And a nice kind of very tense, high high casualty game, like Call of Cthulhu-esque. Love it. And finally, third one, the TV series would be Heroes. Now we have plenty of super RPGs, Marvel, DC, that sort of thing. But I think Heroes, it tries to portray people who develop superpowers in a more realistic way. The confusion, the kind of like the reaction of the people, like fear, the tendency to like try and look up what you don't understand. I think in the first season they pitched it perfectly, and I love a kind of superpowered game that reflects that kind of tone. It'd be really cool. How like your character doesn't understand his superpower. It's part of the narrative as he develops his understanding and the world with it. Love to play it. Love to it exist. But unfortunately, as far as I know, it does not. And I will end this with a couple of honourable mentions, well, because I actually, like I said, I looked around. I found this question a lot harder than I originally thought. There's some things that I thought were brilliant RPGs, but actually turned out they already do exist, although some of them are very old. Like Hellboy, I loved it to be a Hellboy RPG. Based on the comics. But apparently there is one, although it came out like really early 2000, end of the 90s, right, for a bit of research. Another sci-fi one, Battlestar Galactica. Love the TV show. I think it's great, again, for the politics, the kind of, human race on the run kind of esque, the way they did the robots and how they sort of like view the humans as their creators as well as they demonize their creators. Fantastic. But it already exists as well. You can buy it, play it already. Who knew? I might have to check that out when I get some spare monies. And there was one more, I think, that is already an RPG. I think it might have been Firefly. Yeah, I should have known that, shouldn't I? Firefly and maybe, what was the last one I was looking at? Probably something that's very obvious. Well, I can't remember now. Sorry, as it is late. But anyway, those were my medias or universes that I would like to see portrayed in an RPG format. I hope you enjoyed listening to this video as much as I enjoyed talking about them. These things I would love to play, so hopefully one day they'll be made into a role-playing game. I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow for another RPG video.